You're on.
Leave room for the Lord. Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Leland, and welcome to our Friday morning group with the Teachers of God Foundation, based on A Course in Miracles. I just have a few announcements to make. Let's start with the chronologically closest. So on Saturday, April 29th, there is a 2-hour live free workshop by Lisa Natoli. And this workshop is for people who have, been on a spiritual path. They've been seekers. They've devoted their lives to God. And they're still finding that they're stuck. They're addicted. They're broke. They're sad, they can't get out, there's certain things that they really can't get out from under. So if that is you, or if you know anybody that might benefit from this workshop, you can register on the Teachers of God Foundation website, or you can, just go to the www.teachersofgod.org and register. Again, it's free, and you don't want to miss it. And then on May 1st, Lisa Natoli is starting her new book club on Gorgeous for God. This book is why I'm here. This book changed everything for me. I picked this book up at my church. I like the title. And I brought it home and I let it sit for a week or so, and I opened the book up one day and then found myself, I was reading on my couch and then found myself standing in my backyard, like really don't even know how I got there, with my arms up to the heavens. Like I just couldn't believe what I was reading. It was kind of strange. It almost felt like I wrote it, which to me just means it was so resonant with the truth in me. And everything changed after that. So if you have not read Gorgeous for God, or if you have and you want to read it again with Lisa and with a group, absolutely. Hi, John. May 1st, that starts. And you can also sign up on lisanatoli.com. Okay. And then on June 3rd, Vicky Poppy in Quincy, Mass. is having a one-day workshop with Bill and Lisa. Bill Free and Lisa Natoli. It's awesome. You don't want to miss it. Is that going to be live streamed, or you have to be there in person? It's through Open Doors is from 10 to 4 in Quincy, Massachusetts, and the address, and it's called the Fire of Transformation. You got to get fired up to go, and if you're not, I promise you, they will fire. You'll go through the fire, and if not, they will fire you up. That is guaranteed. And what's the address there? Adams Street. 140 Adams Street, Quincy, Massachusetts. So also with the teachersofgod.org, we have so many other things to support you in your unfolding and in the awakening. That is what the Teachers of God Foundation is. We've sort of dedicated our lives to bringing more light and love to this world. So we have a prayer team if you need. We have a group of people that is here to hold you in truth or your situation, if you're too afraid to, or if you're having a hard time and you just need somebody to remember the truth and remember to trust and surrender and to love when you're having a difficult time. We have a whole crew of people that do that. We have a 40-day program, which is totally free, life-changing, based on A Course in Miracles. So you can register for that anytime. You sign up today, you start today. You can sign up tomorrow, but I would do it today. We also have a Guide to 365 program to walk you through the totally transformational workbook lessons of A Course in Miracles. And Lisa really makes them really, it's your job to read them and to do them, but she really makes them more understandable and helps you with some user-friendly tools to apply the lesson to your life. And we also have Living in Purpose Mastery Program, which is for those of you who have who know that you want to devote your life to love. You are all in, and nothing else is more important. And so this is like the mothership of all the programs that we offer, and that's called Living in Purpose. So I think that's it. I'm just going to remind everybody about the love box back there, if any donations, or there's a donate button on your screen if you're live streaming. So just, your donations are really helpful when it comes to us spreading this message far and wide through camera equipment, through the internet, through this room here, travel, wherever we're called. So we are really grateful for that. And I have a few people I just wanted to say hi to that I said I would. Pia, hi. Arthur are coming today. So hi, Arthur, and Sean Marie. So glad you guys are here.
Love you all.
We love you. And everybody out there, we love you. Like, Facebook us or Facebook me next week, and we'll make sure we give you a personal shout out too. And Unity Radio. Unity Radio, do you have an announcement for that? Bill's on at 12 o'clock today, and Lisa's on at 3 o'clock today. And that's What is a Miracle? And Lisa's is Healing and Recovery, which we're going to cover today. And so that's every Friday. So now, hi, David. This is a time when we greet each other, and with the Christ in us sees the Christ in our brother, or the light in us, or the highest in us, or the love in us greets the love in our brother, and we use the word namaste or I see you.
And I love you like crazy.
And I love you like mad.
That's our basic. I love you like crazy.
Nice to see you.
Okay.
How are you? Very well.
Good. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, welcome back, everybody.
Namaste.
No, I love you like crazy. Hi, that was a good one.
Okay, are you turned on?
I think I am. Turn me on.
Turn her on. I'll turn you on.
Love you like crazy.
You're trying to bring it back.
What? Oh, yeah.
Okay, Leland in the house.
Okay, welcome everybody. Also want to welcome Peter, who I hope we haven't scared off with the I love you like crazy bit.
He's cool.
He's good. I also want to say Andy Kimball and Sandy Zimmerman, you guys blew us away last week. Were they awesome or what? Who was here?
Yeah, they were very good.
You were so good. These two were here last week, and I just loved what you share. I love how you both give. Seriously, I was sitting over there. I said to Bill, my replacements have arrived. And I also love the element, Bonnie, that you did of bringing in the questions and the comments from the live streamers. So I'd love to do that again today, because it's amazing to be on the other side of that camera. You know, I really felt like we were here. It's incredible just to see like how we're part of this. So I want to do that. And we have a special guest today. Our gorgeous friend Marina is here from Denmark. And for anybody who wants to go out for lunch today, we're going to go over to Flatbread for pizzas, if you want to join us. And she is going to do the reading from Cafe Gratitude.
Okay.
Don't use that one. Without turning yours on.
Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm usually at the other end of this live stream, so I'm very happy to be here today. Yeah. So, from the Cafe Gratitude, I picked today's date. And it says, man's chief work is to praise God. And my life with praising God has led me to a life of abundance, and everything is possible. Look at me, I'm here. Yeah, made it all the way here. And it's a life of joy, and I just love meeting people like you who think the same way as I do. So, with that thought, thank you.
Okay, welcome. So I'm Lisa Natoli, and I want to open up today. We're going to talk about lesson 76, I'm Under No Laws But God's, which is from A Course in Miracles. And I'm going to do something this morning that might be a little scary for some of you. Okay, I'm going to push the envelope today just a little bit. And I'm going to save that for later, because I don't want to scare anybody away. So, I've been reading this Healing and Recovery book from David Hawkins. Who's been reading it? And it's just been incredible. And I did a radio show today that will be at 3 o'clock with my friend Max, because he was listening to that talk I gave 2 weeks ago when I started talking about this book. And he loves it. So he has a copy of the book. And so him and I did a 1-hour talk a few days ago about this book. And what I love about it is he is using the principles of A Course in Miracles. And he talks about A Course in Miracles in here. But what I like about his expression of it is that he is a scientist, he's a physician, he's a psychotherapist, he has had awakening experiences since he was a young child. And he's gone through all the stages that people on a spiritual path go through, including what almost everyone has gone through, of that feeling, I don't want to be here anymore, or you can't function here anymore. Who's had that? Like you really begin to identify with the truth of what you are. And you suddenly, it's like you can't work a job the way you used to, and you can't hold conversations with people, and your tolerance for the suffering in yourself and in the world it's so high. And so he's described all those phases. And he's no longer here in form. He passed in 2012. But he was very sick. He had a lot of sicknesses, and he decided to dedicate his life to using the ideas that he'd heard about and applying them to his own life. And one by one, he saw all the sickness, the pain, and the suffering fall away. Every single one of them. And what he says about this book, he didn't write it, consciousness itself wrote it. And what he's described is that he was having these experiences. So I'll just use the example of him being a physician and a psychotherapist. He saw very clearly with Christ's vision that the problem in every single person was the personality. Like that your personality and your idea that you're a body was actually the problem. And he knew he could help people. And this is what Jesus talks about in the psychotherapy handbook. He actually gives us the procedure for how you work with others. But first you have to go through the transformation yourself to know who you are so that you can see the way he was seeing. But he didn't want to start a practice. He was like, oh no. Like he was so in that space of just feeling no need to do anything. He just realized, like, I am everything, I have everything, there's no problem. But the Spirit was moving him. And that's what begins to happen for all of us, is that you're not moving, but you're cooperating with the movement. Does that make sense? So you're not fighting anymore, you're not resisting. And what he says, and he uses A Course in Miracles as the place where he got the idea, all sickness is unconscious guilt. That you have forgotten who you are and you think you're separate. You've separated yourself from your source, from the life of what you are, and from other people. And over time, it manifests as an external picture. And so the external picture isn't real, but now you have to go the other direction to reverse your thinking. So that's the most I wanted to say about this, but I do want to encourage anyone who really wants to practice, it can be very helpful to have a demonstration of someone in a body who's gone through these ideas and be inspired by them. And then you can begin to do the work. And I started thinking about this book, and Lesson 76, which is I'm under no laws but God's. And some of you guys know my story about this lesson. When I was living in New York City years ago, I met these guys from Endeavor Academy. They're very devoted to A Course in Miracles, had devoted their life to God. And it was like a community of about 250 people, and I swore I was never going to go there. And that's kind of how you know you're going, because I just was like, I'm not going. But then it was like this call, this deep call, why would I resist? And I ended up going for what was supposed to only be a 30-day retreat. And I knew when I got there that I found home. Like I knew this is where I'm meant to be. I stayed there for 30 days. I went back to New York City, and with that decision, everything was easy. And they told me at the academy, when you make a decision, it's like your past rolls up like a carpet behind you. It's only when you don't make a decision that everything seems difficult. But once you make the decision, everything is going to support the decision. And I went back to New York, and everything was easy. There was someone in my Course in Miracles group that decided to buy all my furniture. That gave me the money to rent a U-Haul for the rest of the stuff that I was taking. I mean, every single thing became easy. So I'm on my way to Wisconsin. I'm in a U-Haul truck. Now, I was a New Yorker, so I never drove a car. So suddenly I'm in a U-Haul truck. Like I went from not driving to a U-Haul truck, and I was so excited. I'm like, woo! Wisconsin, here I come. And all of a sudden there's flashing blue lights behind me. I'm like, okay, facilitating my move. And so I pull over, and he's like, ma'am, you're going 76. And it was like in a 65. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize. And he goes back to his car. And I'm in, and I've got, who knows what I'm thinking, but I've got the rosaries hanging, so that probably didn't help him. But anyways, I got rosaries hanging from here, and I'm thinking while he's back in his car, 76, lesson 76, I'm under no laws but God's. I'm not going to get a ticket. And so I'm thinking this, I'm like, I'm under no laws but God's. I'm under no laws but God's. He comes back, and he gives me a $250 ticket. And so I knew, like, okay, somewhere what I thought this lesson was doesn't mean what it says. Like, so what does it mean? I'm under no laws but God's. So I wanted us to look at this today because and I want us to have a conversation about it. I want us to really look at the laws that we believe in. And what David Hawkins talks about is that you have to get into a different frequency, and then you're not under the laws of God. But while you're operating in the frequency of fear, that's where the laws of the world are operating, and you are bound by them. You do get sick, you do need pills, you do have the financial problems, but when you ascend to the Christ in you and you allow yourself to get above the fear level and you start to know who you are under no laws but God's. So I wanted to just read some of this. So this is Jesus, and he's saying here, we, which I love, we have observed before how many senseless things have seemed to you to be salvation. Each has imprisoned you with laws as senseless as itself. You are not bound by them. Yet to understand this is so, you must first realize salvation lies not there. While you would seek for it in things that have no meaning, you bind yourself to laws which make no sense. Thus do you seek to prove salvation is where it is not. Today we will be glad to prove it. Today we will be glad you cannot prove it. For if you could, you would forever seek where salvation is not and never find it. The idea for today tells you once again how simple is salvation. So what Jesus says in here is salvation is a promise that you would find your way back to God. That's what salvation is. So it happens in an instant. Like here in this instant, you can remember who you are, and boom, you're there. So how simple is salvation? Look for it where it waits for you, and there it can be found. Look nowhere else, for it is nowhere else. Think of the freedom in the recognition that you are not bound to all the strange and twisted laws you have set up to save you. You really think that you will starve unless you have stacks of green paper strips and piles of metal discs. You really think a small round pellet or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle will ward off death. You really think that you are alone unless a body is with you. It is insanity to think these things. So who thinks those things? Who thinks without money you'll starve? Who thinks that without supplements, without a pill, that you'll get sick or you'll... Yep. And that's what's required to me in the Course is an honesty. It's like, yeah, I do believe in those things. And that's a starting point. Like to me, I used to say, I don't believe in those things, I don't believe in those things. But I did, because the unconscious guilt is the problem. The hidden beliefs that you like maybe put a spiritual spin on are the things that never come up to be looked at. So it's not that it's bad that we believe in them, but we have to look at them. You call them laws and put them under different names in a long catalog of rituals that have no use and serve no purpose. You think you must obey the laws of medicine, of economics, and of health. Protect the body and you will be saved. These are not laws, but madness. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. The body suffers that the mind will fail to see it is the victim of itself. The body's suffering is a mask. That's amazing. The body's suffering is a mask the mind holds up to hide what really suffers. And that's why, to me, the vulnerability and the honesty is the fast track, where you're not trying to hide how spiritual you are and how you're not saying like, oh, I don't have those issues. I'm whole and perfect, because you're whole and perfect in truth. But this is a discovery. Like it really is a place where you're discovering what's the thing that's blocking and a willingness to remove the block. And it can be very helpful to work with someone in this, that you say, okay, I'm willing now to take the journey. back to my own wholeness. So it says, it would not understand it is its own enemy, that it attacks itself. I'm reading without glasses. How am I doing? Wants to die. It is from your, but that's a law. Like, I need glasses. And because I believe it, it is so. And so it's like a willingness to really look at all the laws that you believe in. Like, I've believed in supplements. I've believed in nutrition. Like, my own background has just been crazy land central around food. You know, I can't eat this, I can eat this, this is bad for me, processed food is bad for me, whole food is good for me, meat is bad, and then meat was good, and then, like, it kept changing. And like, I was reading, I'm looking at chapter 1 right now, and I love this, on page 29. It talks a lot about abundance in here in the beginning. And it says in here, it's talking about scarcity, and darkness is lack of light. It does not have unique properties of its own. It is an example of the scarcity fallacy from which error can proceed. Truth is always abundant. Scarcity leads to overeating and other false drives. So that's why I overate. I overate for years. I did a lot of things, like I drank, I smoked, I overate. And it's saying, because I didn't know who I was. And so scarcity leads to overeating and other false drives. Abundance eliminates these. And that's how I dissolved alcoholism, cigarette smoking, overeating. I don't do any of those things anymore. Because now I know I have everything. I don't need anything else. And so then it says, and it's right here, those who perceive and acknowledge that they have everything have no need for driven behavior of any kind. So this is the journey that we're taking. We're taking the journey where we are acknowledging that we are everything and that we have everything. And now there's no driven behavior of any kind anymore. So it says, the laws of God can never be replaced. We will devote today to rejoicing that this is so. It is no longer a truth that we would hide. We realize instead it is a truth which keeps us free forever. Magic imprisons, but the laws of God set us free. The light has come because there are no laws but His. We will begin the longer practice period today with a short review of some of the different kinds of laws we have believed we must obey. These would include, for example, the laws of nutrition, of immunization, of medication, and of the body's protection in innumerable ways. Can you guys think of any? What are some of the other laws that you believe in? Yep.
We need to have boundaries.
Yep, that's a good one. We need boundaries.
The laws of safety, you know, we lock our house or car.
Yep.
The laws of safety, we lock our house, our car. We think we need to protect ourselves with security devices.
Laws of lack, so we store money, food. Some people store water, gas, all kinds of things that are perceived as abundance.
I love that. What else?
Feeling unworthy or that you don't belong, trying to find your place, thinking you don't know where you are, who you are, and coming to those realities that we are one.
Yep.
That's a big lesson.
Yep. Yeah, and the mind is so powerful. Like I noticed, we just got back from Utah. We had a great, amazing trip. I have a belief that when I travel, I get sick. It's happened so many times that I believe in it now. And then I believe I need essential oil, and I need antibiotics, or I need probiotics. I need a day of rest to catch up. And so it requires to catch the belief. Because what the mind will do, it will say, no, you really do get sick. Like you really do, and you have to go in the bathroom, and I have to wash my hands all the time, and a belief in germs, a belief in, if somebody's coughing beside you, we believe we're gonna get sick because they're coughing. We believe all sorts of stuff. We believe that as you are in a body longer, you start to age. You believe, I mean, it's like a total.
Calories in, calories out.
Calories in, calories out. Yep.
Big one for me, the answer's out there.
And we believe the answer's out there.
The thing is, and this is why I love Muji, and this is why I love when the Course says, with this one idea is complete salvation. And what Muji says is when the self is realized, you eradicate those beliefs in one chop. And this is where the practice of the Course is leading all of us to, is not to focus on all of these little things. That you could do it for lifetimes. But what to focus on is the transcendence, and this is the Christ vision, to transcend this belief in all of your practice until it becomes all the time, so that you're not trying to focus on all these little bitty little things, because it'll drive you nuts. But to go into that space of presence, of spirit, of where nothing real can be threatened, is the transcendence of the world. It's the resurrection. And as long as you think that you're a body, and that's the thing that you have to focus on, oh, wow, I'm believing that I'm a body. Well, bring it to the Holy Spirit until you stop doing that. And then you'll transcend all of these minor beliefs that seem so real.
Is inviting us to do is to completely identify with Christ as what we are, because that is what you are. And one of the things that I was reading also today in chapter 1 this morning, and I think a lot of spiritual people think, well, now that I've devoted my life to God, I'm totally safe. But what he's saying, you're totally safe because you're acknowledging you have a guide, and you're asking about everything. So he's saying, I will protect you from physical and spiritual dangers, but you have to listen. And so Jesus is bringing us to the place where we're not doing anything by ourselves anymore. Nothing. It's a total asking every single thing. And what he's saying in chapter 1 is he's saying that one of the great difficulty with miracle workers, which is what we all are, is because we know everything comes from love, that we don't pause to establish his limits. So he's saying this is why you get exhausted, is because you just now, when you first come into this, you're just like, yes, I'm just going to give miracles, and I'm just going to extend love, and I'm going to be the light of the world, and I'm going to help everyone, and But Jesus is saying, no, not everyone's ready. Like, I'm going to let me establish the limits for the miracles you're going to be doing. And he's also saying, like, ask me about the minutia. He says, ask me about everything, and I will tell you how to do it, or I will do it for you. And he says, the reason why you don't ask me to help you with the minutia, and this makes me laugh, is because you're afraid to not be bogged down. We like to be bogged down. And he's saying there's a way of speeding you up so that you have more time to spend with me, Jesus. So, and I'm definitely still in the learning of this, because have such a lifelong history of that New Yorker in me. Just like, I'm going to get it done. Right, Monica? Monica's a New Yorker also, and like, it's that A-driven personality of, I got this. And so it's like, I know she's still laughing, but it's true. Like, we start to really go like, okay, wow, this is the place where I need to learn trust. Trust that things are being taken care of, and that I'm now disciplining myself enough to ask, what would you have me do? Help me to perform the miracles you want of me today. And so, to me, this is how we're under no laws but God's. We're under no laws but God's when we acknowledge that inner guide, the Christ. And he's so many spaces in here that talk about ascending to the Christ. You have to get above the battleground. That's why I like that David Hawkins book so much, because it talks a lot about location, positionality. What's your position? What's your point of view? Where is the point that you're viewing from? Because up until that point, you're just unconscious and you think life is just happening and everyone's just being crazy and you're just full of problems. But you're in a position. And he calls it a positionality. Love that. So, and how do you know your position? Quite easily, how do you feel? And one of the things that Max and I discovered the other day when we did a radio show on this is David Hawkins, I probably won't be able to find, opened right up to it. That's so funny. He says, to put oneself in an energy field of 540. So David Hawkins talks about shame's the lowest at 20, guilt is at 30, fear is at 100, desires at 125, courage is the turning point, which is 200. Everything below 200 is a downward energy. So anything that's a fear-based emotion, and you feel it, right? You feel that, you're like overwhelmed, pulls you down. When you get to 200, you start getting into forgiveness, acceptance, willingness. The energy's moving up now. You feel it. You feel a lightness. And when you get to 500, that's unconditional love. And that's another major shift in the consciousness. And 540 is joy. 600 is the peace of God. And 700 and up is enlightenment. And so he says to put oneself in an energy field of 540 is to automatically heal oneself. A loving thought then heals, and a negative thought creates illness. Well, Jesus says, very simply in A Course in Miracles, joy heals. Joy heals. Lesson 100. Your joy heals all sorrow and despair. And God's messengers are joyous, and their joy heals. Well, guess what 540 is? It's joy. So when you make a commitment, and what it says in Lesson 100 and all through the Course in Miracles, your part is to be happy. And so many people say, I can't. I don't know how to do that. And then the show with me and Max, it's going to go at 3 o'clock, is so fun. Because Max was depressed, migraine headaches that would not stop. He could only go sit in a dark room and he could not function for years. And that just disappeared. Like he just, one by one, things began to disappear. You see, I have a different experience on what Mooji's talking about, that it all happens in a swoop. Like that's not been my experience. And this is not his experience either. My experience is one by one, I discovered another belief. But at a certain point, it's like you're not clearing anymore. Like my experience is alcoholism went, cigarette smoking went on the same day, 17 years ago or 16 years ago or whenever. And,
Wouldn't that be one chop then?
right, but then the overeating continued for another 15 years, the food addiction, the no money, the depression. I was still depressed after I stopped drinking alcohol. And then the depression went, and I can remember. I remember exactly when it was. It was summer 2009. I was living in Wisconsin in a B&B, and I made a decision. I saw it. You see it. You see how you're hurting yourself, and you make a decision, I'm not doing that anymore. So that went, but then what my experience is, and this is how he describes it, and I love it. I love the honesty. Some beliefs are so strong in you that you think you've healed them, and that it will come back even worse than ever. Love that kind of honesty, because that's helpful to me, because that's been my experience. Like, 'cause I think something's gone, but what he's saying is that, like, there was his whole list of sicknesses. One took 2 years to heal. It was just such a strong belief in him, and some went in a day. But it was what he was saying is that he had now dedicated his life to healing the thing. So he was no longer stuck in victim mode. So even though he was having symptoms, like he accidentally amputated a thumb, and he's laughing about it. And he said it was so painful. Off comes the thumb. And he instantly has the discipline to do the work. So he caught himself. He said, okay, that just happened. And he was like, okay. And he really loved that thumb. Like, he didn't want the thumb to be gone. But he realized, okay, well, I just accidentally sawed it off. And his whole practice in all the David Hawkins book is no resistance. Don't resist it. Don't, as much as possible, don't tell the story about it. Like, to let go of the naming of it. And then to watch the mind goes in overdrive. So he says, like, first you might say, I have asthma. So you become aware that you're naming something. The naming of it holds it right in place. So then we go, okay, I'm not going to call it asthma anymore. But so the next thing is like, oh, I can't breathe. That's still the naming of it. And so then you might say, oh, I have a burning sensation. Still a naming of it. So instead of trying to get rid of it, instead of trying to heal, he stopped trying to heal anything. He made a decision that he was just going to be present with it. No matter what happens, he was in for the ride. That's how he did it. And so he was present, and he was okay with it. That's what he said. Like, above 200 is when you're neutral. Like, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with having asthma. I'm okay with having cancer. I'm okay with no thumb. I'm okay with no money. I'm okay with, like, it's a better feeling, right? Than, oh my God, I have no thumb. And when he looked later, there was only 8 drops of blood on the wood. Like, he said what happened to him should have just been blood everywhere. But because he recognized the power that he is to manage his energy field. Do you guys want to say anything about this work? You're both reading the book. No?
Well, I love it.
Microphone. Where's that?
You know, one of the things that he said.
Not on.
How about that? I love this because one of the things that he also said, which I'm using in a couple of things for me, is that you whatever the sensation is, if it's a hot flash, if it's hunger, if it's pain, that you're experiencing something, like, you don't label it, and you just go right into the sensation. You sit down. At first, he said pretty soon you can do it while you live your life, but you actually stop what you're doing, sit down or lay down, and you just totally be completely present with the sensation, the pain. He said it's only pain when you resist it. He said I was just listening on my way here, he's had surgeries with no anesthesia. If you're not resisting it, if you're going right in and feeling it, and he actually says, bring me more of this. Okay? I mean, talk about...
More, he goes more.
Yeah, so if he's in pain or if he's having a hot flash, probably not. If I'm having one, you just totally stay and he's like, okay, you just feel everything. Every part of just bring me more of this experience. And that's how you just totally dissipate it and heal it. So, and if you think about that chart that you were talking about, the guilt and the fear and all that, well, up that chart is acceptance and willingness. So you you go up toward those healing energies, toward love, to just, and that's where healing happens. And that's probably why there was just 8 drops of blood.
What Max said on the call, on our interview, was he suddenly one day realized about living in joy or living in love or just being okay with everything. He's like, what else are we doing here? What else are we doing here that is so important that we couldn't just live this way? It's like you hear people saying, why am I still having anger? And at first you think, I can't help it. But you really then realize, you can.
I am not reading that book. I read another one of his last week after you mentioned it, and the one where he talks about being a kinesiologist and working. I can't remember the name of it. It was about how the Course in Miracles changed people overnight in their belief system and how the kinesiologist proved it. It was pretty interesting. But I can relate to your story and this in when I injured my back pretty bad. I was in bed for a couple of years, and medicine, all kinds of stuff wasn't working. I was hallucinating because of the crap they were giving me. And anyway, I got tired of that. And I stopped taking all the medicine, got on my crutches, and started going for walks. And initially, it was just down the front steps and back to bed for a couple hours. And eventually, I was walking to the library, read about pain, and there was an instant, it was really interesting, because I knew there had to be a better way, where embracing the pain, wanting it, bringing it in, just living in it, and going, okay, so it's just pain. And I can remember right then it went away. It was gone. Right on the moment. It was amazing. But what was interesting is, so that worked, and I really delved into that, but it took years before I realized that the story of the injury was keeping the injury present. And there was a point where I let that go, and that took about 8 more years. And at that point, no more I was still using crutches 3-4 months out of the year. And at that point, the crutches went away. My back has not gone out since then. It's been, 4-5 years. And in that period of time, I did go back to a doctor and ask him what changed. And what was interesting was initially they diagnosed 2 herniated discs. He went back through because I had a myelogram and CAT scan, I had all these documents. He went back through them and he said, no, there's 6 herniated discs. Yeah, interesting. And now, I carry some, I do all of it very carefully and intentionally because I know that the discs are still whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. But I rarely bring up the story.
Yep, that's so great.
Because it's just a belief, and I could live in the story and be disabled, basically, feel disabled.
I love that. Yeah, because the other thing that Max and I talked about on the show was he's going to see Joe Dispenza. And I don't know if you know Joe Dispenza's story, but when he was 23 years old, he's like, I think he's maybe 60 now, he was in a bike accident. He was in a bike race, and a car hit him head on, and he crushed his entire spine in 9 places, was going to be paralyzed, never going to walk. And the doctor said, you only have to get this surgery, and we're going to put all these steel pins so it was in, and you'll never walk. And he knew the ideas of truth, and he made a decision. He made 2 decisions. His one decision was he knew that there was infinite intelligence. He'd heard about it. But he made a decision, I'm going to start working with infinite intelligence, and it's going to heal me. So the collaboration was important. And the second decision was that he was not going to let a single thought that was not in line with his vision into his mind. Then he makes a joke. Sounds simple, right? So he went home and he created what he calls a template for himself of the healed spine. And he couldn't get out of bed, couldn't move. And they told him, if you stand up, your spine is going to collapse it's just going to go like that. So he was a brand new chiropractor, so he's no longer has a job. He's lying in the bed. They tell him he's paralyzed for life. He's 23 years old. And he said, nope, this is my work now. I am working this. And so he recognized that you actually can live the experience in your mind. And his whole big thing is meditation. Joe Dispenza's, and he actually talks about it too. David Hawkins talks about levels. You go from level 1 to 10, you go deeper, 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 deeper into all space and no space, sort of leaving behind the body identity, the past, the future. And so Joe Dispenza basically says you can't just meditate. You actually have to stay in the space of no space and all space until you have that feeling you had. When there's like a click, or there's a knowing, or there's a feeling, or it's a shift. It's literally an energy shift. And he said in the beginning it was so difficult because his mind kept thinking, I'm never going to walk again. He would catch it. He would say, no, that's not in line with the vision of me being vibrant, sitting in the grass, having a picnic and walking and running and biking again. And he said he would keep playing out the scenario in his mind until he felt it. And this is what Jesus, it all comes back to like all the teachings that were here with the Course in Miracles, the feeling. It's all about the feeling. Like once you get into the feeling, and we can all do this right now, of feeling our wholeness, feeling our perfection, feeling the joy. And to me, that part's easy. To me, the real work is the consistency of staying in that place, because everything's grabbing us that drops us back down into doubt, into that feeling of worrying. But Jesus is saying, like, depend on my strength and don't worry about anything else, and I'll take care of the rest. So I saw a hand up somewhere. Where's the mic? Thank you so much for that.
So what's coming to me is the shift in perception is exactly what we're talking about here. So the miracle is the shift in perception. And you're talking about being able to stay in the vibration. Well, to do that, you have to constantly shift your perception when the thought comes in. Right there. Just close the door on it and change your thought. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And I'm glad I just really learned that right now.
I just see this for 1 second. Yeah, because what David Hawkins says in the book when something comes up is he first cancels the thought. I cancel that thought of cancer or asthma or whatever. And then I am an infinite being who is not subject to any limitations. So, but he's always cancel the thought, cancel the thought.
The idea that I mentioned about that I love about Muji is he really practices and teaches that you do it in one chop. Is the same thing. It's to no longer track the mind, follow the mind, and believing that this is real. So it's not that you're ascending to like Jesus in the resurrection in one chop. It's that you're making a decision in one chop. You're no longer going to track in the story, so that you're no longer living in the story. So in that way, it's the same thing as what you're talking about. It's the same thing.
What Linda was just saying is he gives in here what to do. He gives step-by-step procedures. And what I love about him as a teacher is what I feel Jesus does as a teacher. He doesn't just have one procedure. He's going to use many procedures to get you from whatever angle he can get you at. And this one is one cannot say, I have diabetes, and let that go unchallenged. That is a belief system so powerful that just believing I have diabetes is sufficient to potentiate the disease. Instead, one has to cancel, so you catch it, I have diabetes, and you catch it. One has to cancel it and say, I am a person who once thought that, but I am subject only to what I hold in mind. I am an infinite being, and I am not subject to that. One releases any symptoms and cancels them. One replaces them with the truth. And in doing that, one moves above the line in the specifics of a given illness. And Jesus, in that lesson, I am oneself united with my Creator, he uses the identical same procedure. So he said, he's inviting us to find, and he calls it your false belief. So find your false ideas, and then say, I am oneself, united with my Creator, limitless in peace and limitless in power. So it's the same thing. You're canceling, you're catching, you're canceling, and you're affirming. And the thing I wanted to ask you all, I want to make sure I have a chance to do it before we end here, is I'm reading chapter 1 again, and I was just curious. He says this awesome thing in here about his disciples, and he's talking about that he asked his disciples, not sure if I'm going to find it. Okay, here it is. So, a miracle is a universal blessing from God through me to all my brothers. It is the privilege of the forgiven to forgive. Souls cannot rest until everyone has found salvation. And then he says, the disciples were officially and specifically told to heal others as physicians of the Lord.
What page is that in the new one?
What?
What page is that?
Oh, this is on 19. They were also told to heal themselves, and they were promised that I would never leave them or forsake them. So, I would like to ask, who here, and maybe you've never done it before, who here would actively declare that they are a follower of Jesus or a disciple of Jesus? Yay, let's all stand up here. I want everyone to see the disciples for now. And if you don't feel like you want to say it, that's okay. Oh my God, everybody. Okay. Seriously? This is awesome. And we know Bonnie. Bonnie definitely is on. I don't believe it. Thank you guys. This is excellent. Okay, now who's online?
Well, there's 50 people online.
So I want to know who's online, who actively, because this is what's happening to me when I read this. This is just an energetic vibration thing where you are moving into a space when you are now becoming physicians of the Lord. You guys are all physicians of the Lord now. And Jesus is officially and specifically telling each one of you, go heal others. Go heal others. Gonna go heal others? Go heal others. Go heal others. Go heal others.
I'm in.
So awesome, you're up here. No, you're,
No.
well,
Go heal others.
You're both. We don't have
I love this. Well, that was easy. I don't know what else to do.
That was your big scary thing.
That was my scary
Have a
thing.
healing.
Nothing.
I need do nothing.
What? You want the mic?
I love you guys. Thank you so much.
So, our love streamers, Joan DeGroot says, yes, right here, I am a disciple of Jesus. Arthur Gay, I'm in. Kimberly Cartwright, I am at the beach in
Kimberly's
Mexico
on.
and I just stood up. Teresa McGallagher, Jesus is my leader. And Pamela Laughing Waters, count me in. Gemma Garbett, I'm a follower of Jesus. Susan Stover, and we have a, I think Susan, and it's DUI, me. Sean Marie, I'm all in. I'm a disciple of Jesus. And so I hope I hit everyone so far
That's
that was
so
on
great.
there.
Yeah.
We love you, love streamers.
So great. So to me, what this means is I can only speak from my own personal experience, is that I have not been consistent in asking for everything. And this weekend in Utah was so incredible for me because it really was, to me, a resurrection weekend. And that happens for each of us when you recognize the Christ in me is risen. I now fulfill my destiny. I have a purpose to fulfill, and you claim it. You just come to this point. Like when I got back from Utah, I've not really been able to function very well this week. Like I've just been going, okay, and I've been doing what David Hawkins says, bring it on, more, give me more. Where before I kept thinking, it's always a story about anything physical that's happening or this shouldn't be happening. That's the resistance. But instead to just allow yourself to, the way, I love how David Hawkins talks about it. Some of the energy fields that he was going through would short circuit his system. That's how he was experiencing it, but he still wasn't even afraid of that. And so now you can be okay with it. Now you can be okay with allowing everything to be exactly it is. You're not trying to heal anything. And you are, and so Jesus is really calling us, who's going to join me in allowing this light to come through? And I'm so grateful. That was just awesome demonstration. I didn't expect everyone to stand up. And what David Hawkins is saying is there's even an incredible thing in here that goes along with the testing that he does. But he's saying for thousands of years, the calibration of the whole was under 200. The hatred, the killing, there was no light. And then he said, I don't know why, but in 1986, it slightly went over 200. And what he's saying in here is that in time, are individuals who are calibrating at 600. You're in joy, in peace, in that enlightened state. And the God view at the highest level is that God is the self. So up until then, God is angry, vindictive, punishes people, it's like that. And when you start, and then you get up to a loving God. So that's in like the 400 range. God is good. God is kind. God is powerful. And then as you move up and you move to 1,000, God is the self. I am one self united with my Creator. Maggie, where's the microphone?
That's why I didn't stand up. I didn't feel like I was a disciple. I felt like I am.
But you did stand up. Did you?
No.
Oh, okay.
So-
But that's, okay,
Yeah,
so,
my thought was, I'm not a follower. I'm not a disciple. I am.
okay, good.
So it's a different way of looking at it.
Yep.
My bringing up was I was a disciple. I had to do that. I no longer believe that.
Yep, beautiful. Yep. High five.
It seems like what happens, and this has been my experience and my observation, is that we're training our mind to know the self at that highest level of calibration, because the addiction and the habit is that we're bodies, is that we're humans, that we're the person. And we keep falling back into that conditioned image of what we are, and that's why Jesus puts your brother, or what seems to be happening outside of you, this connection, this forgiveness experience is over there. You're healing your mind that you can't see with the person that you think is separate from you, allowing you to drop the person identity little by little. It took us a long time to get here, and so it seems like it's taking us a long time to come to that resolution. And the reason that when we slip back, we think things are happening to us if we start personifying someone else and saying, "Oh, look what's happening to her or him," and that's why the thoughts or what the body's eyes is believing becomes your experience, because you're not going to calibrate at that higher level if you're listening to the story and believing someone else is a person. You're thinking that's you. That's happening, and that's why sometimes we get well and we have no idea how did this happen? That just went away just like that. It's because we went to that high level of vibration and we got well, because we weren't a body, we weren't a person. We don't even know how it happened, but it happened just like that. And then all of a sudden we get tracked back down to the person identity, and things start happening again. It seems like it happens on and off, but it's really what's happening is we're getting more and more at the higher level of vibration and less at the density of the person. And it seems like it takes a long time. It just all of a sudden happens. The things where we start seeing miracles occur happens because those little incremental steps became one big step, and now we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, because it says it's a training. It really is a mind training. We're training our minds to see with Christ's vision. And it says a miracle is an intercession. It intercedes where the error was, and the mistake was, and the sin was, and the belief in lack of love. Christ, the light of Christ, is in our minds, intercedes, shakes up erroneous perception, and reorganizes them. So it's a total reorganization. I just took an Abraham Hicks book off the shelf last night because I was talking to Bill about this whole idea of like how you give money, Like how some people will ask for money, it will be totally from need and lack, and I need it, and please, please, please. And I remember that Abraham Hicks said something about it. Like if your children are asking for money, how come sometimes you just want to give it, and it's like, oh my God. And sometimes it just doesn't feel good. Like it's, what do you, and I remember that they addressed it somehow, so I got the book off the bookshelf. And it said, life gives to life. Life gives to the expansion, and we are the universe. And while I was flipping through the book to find that section, Abraham is expressing Esther's experience. One day, she was going down to the end of the driveway, and she opened the gate, and she looked up, and she saw the blue sky and the cloud. She was like, chills were going through her body. She was like, oh my God, oh my. And it was just a normal day, right? It's not like she went anywhere special. She was just outside, and she was like, oh my God. And then she goes, Abraham, is that you? And it was. That her work that she does, so anybody who wants to know how she does it, she takes a few moments, she rises to the vibration. It's Christ. That's all Abraham is. Abraham is Christ. You raise yourself up high enough and present enough that the energy fields are one. And then she allows it to come through her. So she was saying, for the first time, she saw what Abraham sees. She saw only the light. She saw. So it's like there really is a veil in front of our eyes. Do you see the splendor? Do you see the splendor of the chair? Oh my God! Like you suddenly go like, whoa. And it's kind of like you get to a place where you're not like always in overwhelm mode, like, oh my. Sometimes, but you're only now seeing with Christ's vision. You don't see. So I still always hear the story. I hear people telling their story of lack, but I only see the light there. And if like what you're expressing, Bill, it is the work. If I find myself getting drawn into the story, I'm the one that needs the correction now. That I'm asking, my prayer, heal me, that I may see this person as the light that I am. I love you guys. I see we're at the end of our time. Yes?
I have a comment that there's a spiritual ego that wants to hold our hand on this path. Mm-hmm. And that mental construct is always wanting to steal the show. Mm-hmm. And that's why you don't go to that place that Esther went with Abraham without the quiet. She and what was her? Jerry. They spent years at practicing meditation. Yeah. They understood the power of presence and silence, and they developed a practice until it became their life. To go into that place where the vibration is, it's not a mental construct. So if you think you're going to go there to get something or to have that experience, it ain't going to happen for you. Yep. You have to develop the practice of being the self in the silence where everything happens.
Yeah, because he's saying in here, you have a function to fulfill, you have a role in atonement, and each and every one of us has special abilities that will be used. But that first you have to go through the purification. Miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. So that's where you make a commitment. You say, well, I got nothing else going on here, right? Might as well do the mind training. I might as well do the workbook lessons. I might as well watch myself like a hawk. To me, that's the mastery, is where you're just saying, okay, I'm going to allow. Atone means to undo. We're allowing the undoing of all our beliefs to happen. And then whatever's given to you specifically is given you to do. But I know why Jesus says, can you accept you're a physician of the Lord? You're a physician of the Lord. Everybody? You're a physician of the Lord. Now go heal the sick and raise the dead. Linda, I think we're at the end here. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. I love you.
I usually like to stay on until we pray.
Oh, okay.
I'm a physician of the world. My dad has Alzheimer's, and his license, he couldn't get his license, but he can still drive, So he doesn't believe he can't drive. So they have the elder services come in and say, you can't drive. And he tells them, I'm a good driver. And he is. So the thing is, the reality is, we have to take things away from him, but he doesn't believe it. That strength there. My mother always said, I just want to be happy.
Yep.
And I didn't always believe that she was. So I went searching, But ultimately, she kept saying it. She was saying the right words. And she's very strong, And I realized this week that I didn't value her. And that's a big problem.
That's a big breakthrough, though. That's a revelation.
Yes.
That to know, that just brings me so much joy that you've come to the place when you recognize that
I got 2 kids that don't value me. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah. But now you know. That's the great reversal. You recognize, okay, my kids are playing out what I played out my whole life with my mother.
Yeah. And the other...
You can forgive yourself for that.
Yeah, you just forgive yourself for that.
And them, you can forgive your kids, because when you forgive your kids, you'll be forgiving yourself.
Who says I haven't done it?
Well, I don't know.
I guess I haven't. I don't know.
Story is, it's still happening.
Yeah. It's like, how do you want to perceive these actions? I say, they don't appreciate me. But if you go to talk to them, you might get a different story. Just the actions appear, don't want to listen to me. They don't do what I say. Maybe that's a good thing. And the other thing that happened to me this week, I met an atheist. And I said, the first thing I said to him says, I'm so excited to meet you. I never met someone who doesn't believe, actually, I said astrology. Anyway, but my astrology, when I was reading, he let us read his chart, his birthday. He wasn't afraid to give it to us. And his ending was that he was a preacher of God. And so I told him that. I told him, you're God. And then the other guy in my group, he said, I just want you to know you're an Aries, and you probably didn't notice this, but he liked you because he put his hand on your shoulder or something like that, So I realized that I was able to say good things to him, not what he thinks. And so if he liked me, he probably got that message. So... Anyway, but it's a change in thought. That's what happened, I think.
Thank you so much. Okay, if you guys can join me in a circle. Hey, Andy, do you want to come do the prayer?
Close off the circle.
You were so good. You're an energetic vibration of light and joy.
You guys want to close off the circle?
I can't reach. I would if I could.
I got cold hands.
Wow, I guess. All right.
You are.
We made a circle.
You're fine.
Good.
Okay, so I guess I'm praying us out.
Yes, you
Got
are.
this.
Thanks to everybody that showed up today. Thanks to all the people live streaming. Thank you to my beautiful wife for being the executive producer.
Love you, Bonnie.
This is what it's all about, people. light and love. The truth is always true. Amen.
Amen. That was epic. So if anybody would like to make a donation, we super appreciate it. It helps us pay for the space, helps us pay for the camera, the live stream.
And we're gonna do acknowledge the tithes and offerings, divine love.
As me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Love you guys.